The final stage theorist that I want you to know is Lawrence Kohlberg, who presented stages of moral development. Now, Lawrence Kohlberg's method for studying moral development was pretty unique. He did not go out and observe the behavior of children or adults, or ask people to fill out questionnaires about their own beliefs and behaviors. What he did was present individuals with hypothetical moral or ethical dilemmas. And he was not interested in yes-no answers. He was interested in their moral reasoning as they responded to these dilemmas. So here's an example. Imagine that a man truly loves his wife, and she's very ill, and she's going to die unless he can purchase the medicine for her. But he's a very poor man, and he cannot afford to do that. So the hypothetical moral dilemma would be, should the man steal money in order to be able to purchase the money that will save his wife's life? And again, he's not interested in yes or no answers. He was interested in an individual's moral reasoning, the reasons they gave to explain their answer, yes or no, the man should steal the money to save his wife. And based upon people's responses to these hypothetical moral dilemmas, Lawrence Kohlberg suggested that moral development occurs in a series of stages. And I'm showing you the 3 stages of moral development according to Kohlberg. If you look in your textbook, it's not presented exactly the same way. It's more complex. And in fact, Lawrence Kohlberg's theory was more complex than what I'm showing you. But it's not a popular theory today. It's not one that has proved to be hugely useful in terms of promoting moral development. But I do want you to know about Kohlberg's procedures and his stages of moral development. And I'm showing you a simplified version of it, which is what you basically need to know from me. So the first stage of moral development, according to Lawrence Kohlberg, is the preconventional level. And this is up to about 7 years of age. And here, the moral reasoning is based on self-interest, avoiding punishment or gaining concrete rewards. So faced with the moral dilemma that I described earlier, an individual in this preconventional stage of moral development may say, no, the man should not steal the money to save his wife because he could be caught and go to jail. And so the moral reasoning basically involves avoiding punishment. Or it may be that the person in the same level of moral reasoning, the preconventional level, would say, yes, the man should steal the money because he loves his wife and he wants to keep her alive and with him. And that's gaining concrete rewards. And according to Kohlberg, this is a fairly low level of moral reasoning. However, the second stage of moral development, according to Lawrence Kohlberg, is from about 8 to 13 years of age. It's the conventional level. Here, morality is based on law and social rules. So essentially, an individual in this stage of moral reasoning might give an answer that involves gaining approval or avoiding disapproval. An individual might say, well, the man needs to steal the money to save his wife because people would think he's awful if he didn't try to save her. Or it may be that he shouldn't steal the money because people will then think he's a thief. So in the conventional level, there's moral reasoning that involves acquiring other people's approval or avoiding their disapproval. Finally, in the post-conventional level of moral reasoning, according to Lawrence Kohlberg, about 13 years or older, and not everyone reaches this level, according to Kohlberg, we have the morality of abstract principles. Basically, the individual responds to hypothetical moral dilemmas in a way that involves complying with agreed upon rights in society or based upon one's personal ethical principles. So at this highest level of moral reasoning, according to Lawrence Kohlberg, an individual may say, well, no, the man should not steal the money to save his wife because we live in a society that's based on law and order, and If I break the rules, that means someone else could break the rules and steal from me. And that we need to be able to trust that in our society, um, other people whose needs may be greater than my own would not be able to violate my rights. Or, at this higher level of moral reasoning, an individual may say, well, yes, the man should steal the money to save his wife because anytime one has the opportunity to save someone else's life, it's just absolutely a moral obligation to do so. And so that is a personal ethical principle that someone might hold, and that would suggest that they are in the post-conventional level of moral reasoning. Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development does get presented in general psychology courses. However, it has been criticized. Some psychologists have suggested that there are more stages of moral development, that it shouldn't stop at the post-conventional level. Still others suggest that there's more to ethical behavior or ethics or morality than moral reasoning, that it's not such a high-level cognitive executive function, that perhaps emotions and other psychological processes are involved, like compassion. So it's been highly criticized. When I was a graduate student in New York City, I actually worked with the Brooklyn DA's office on a drug treatment alternatives to prison program. And I was very interested to learn that the assistant DA with whom I worked had conducted his PhD dissertation looking at whether or not you could use Kohlberg's stages to promote ethical behavior in prisoners, people who had been convicted of breaking the law. And his research suggested that it was not particularly effective. And there have been other studies looking at whether or not Lawrence Kohlberg's theory has applied uses, and I haven't personally come across much research to suggest that it does. But it's important, and it generates research, and it's a very interesting theory, and perhaps there's truth to it, but it's probably not the whole story.